Okay. So we completed 5 sessions. So sixth session now. So what we discussed in the yesterday session, primarily we discussed about the instances, the various environments and the purpose of instances. When you are in the project, you get access to test instance, production instance, and initially you get access to test instance. Going forward, you'll get access to production instance. In between, you may come across with the technical related development instance. This is for technical team purpose. The test instance used by functional consultants. The development instance is used by technical consultants. Sometimes, if there is no development instance, the test instance can be used by functional and technical consultants. In some projects, you may come across the name called as instance name is development instance. The name, within the name, you can see the string, the word called as development. That instance you may use for testing purpose also. So it works in any way, just there are different dimensions. Within the instance URL, you can see dev, means development instance. Name could be dev instance, but you may use for testing purpose. Okay, it may be allocated for the purpose of testing by functional team. So don't worry the names what you have within the instance URL. Always look at the purpose. What purpose the instance is allotted, but primarily these are the various purposes we use the instances. Fine. Now, so let's get into the story. So when you are learning, yes, we will share the instance details, how we will share, how it works. Let me talk about it. Okay, you will have a certain instance URL A, B, C, some instance URL you will have. And what we are going to do is we are going to provide 3 users, A, B, C, 1. It is not exactly same, just I'm as a just case I'm trying to explain. A, B, C, 3. So this is how we'll get access to instance. We will give you the username, 3 users, and we'll provide the passwords. Okay, we'll give you the username, 3 users, and respective users passwords we will provide. Why we are giving 3 user names for the same instance? The reason is this we are using for training purpose. So when you want to practice an instance, these are the 3 users you will have with respect to passwords. Say you are using ABC1 user and you will log into the instance with the respective password. After entering into that instance, you may change the password for your practice, etc. But we recommend you don't change the password for the users what we are providing. You can create your own user and you can play with that user. The request is whatever the instance you get and whatever the user credentials you get along with that instance, don't change anything related to those users. But somehow here and there somebody may change. Say for example, if I give you access to instance with only 1 user, if somebody is changing the password, others cannot log into that instance. As a backup, we are giving 2 more users. If 1 user is not working, with 1 user if you are not able to log into the instance, try with the second user. If second user also not working, try with the third user. If these 3 users are not working to connect to that instance, if you are not able to log into this instance with these 3 users, then you have to understand one point: instance got refreshed. Instance got refreshed and you have to wait for some time. We will reset the password for the same instance, or else you may get another instance. So this is a story we have to understand why we are giving 3 users. If the 3 users are not working, what could be the reason? What could be the reason if 3 users are not working? Think. Oracle refreshed instance, means Oracle removed the users what we created, the setups what we did. So we have to wait for some time. Again, we may gain the access to the same instance and we'll create the same users and same passwords and we'll set the same passwords. and you can start accessing the same instance. Sometimes Oracle may change instances. In that case, the same new instance details we will update in the drive itself. If you look at the drive, what you received, Google Drive access, within that we have one folder, subfolder called as instance details. Within that instance details folder, we will place the instance details, including the username and password. Sometimes we may place one instance, sometimes we may place two instances, three instances also. Based on the availability and possibility, we will place the instance details in the same folder. It could be one or two or three. So you are trying with one instance, that is not working. Just try with the second instance if that is available as per the folder. If second instance also not working, try with the third instance. Sometimes even we place 2-3 instances, or it could be one. Okay, you may not able to access. That is another case where you have to wait to get the updates from us. One instance, all users are not working, wait for some time. We placed 3 instances. Sometimes if 3 instances also not working, that is a time where we have to replace the instances. That could be the time where we are waiting for the updates from the respective source to update in the folder. So this is what we have to understand. If instances are not working, no need to worry about it. You go ahead with the rest of task what you have with you, just going through the video or writing the note or reading. So that is the best practice what we can do when instance is not working. Don't depend on instance all the time. Yes, instance is important. Already we discussed very clearly. You no need to invest too much of time on the instance. Only one time you practice everything, anything what you are learning. The focus is only one time. So then everything you will be capturing into your note. You have to read and you should be able to speak. And these are the training instances. That is the reason this kind of behavior we can see when we deal with these instances. Means those will be down, the data will be refreshed. How often also we discussed, that could be every week or every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks. Sometimes within 10 days the instance can be refreshed. Sometimes within the week they may refresh. If we provide an instance today, unfortunately today or tomorrow that instance could be down, sometimes, rarely. So these are the different phenomena we should understand. Accordingly we have to set our expectations. If instance will go down, we should not go down. We should be up and running to work on the rest of the tasks. This is very important. Don't depend on instance all the time. Don't love the instance. Okay, use instance, don't love. If you love, it may hurt sometimes. So just use whenever required. Don't depend on the instance. That's what we have to learn about the instances. Now let's learn about the instances when we are in the project. This is all about when you are learning. This is a story when we are learning. You are in the project. Here, when you are in this program, yes, you can ask us, or else before you ask, we will tell you. So when you get instance, how you should use the instance. Say you are in the project. Okay, this is as a part of learning, right? So it's all about learning story. So you are working. So it means you are in the project. You are in project. How things works, how you should set your expectation, what you have to understand when you are in the project. So you joined in one company and immediately they may onboard on the project, or it may take some time. Say you got update. So you are aligned to so and so project. You are aligned to so and so project. Initially they let you know about who is your manager. So who is your manager, they will inform you. So maybe manager may contact you, or else in the teams you may just ping to the manager by knowing the name and all. You'll come across when the allocation takes place. You can just connect. You can say hi. So hi, myself so and so. Just I allocated to this project, etc. Where the person is the manager for that. But that's how you can introduce. Next, there could be call and there could be introduction about that project with the team members. That's how things will happen. Now, what is your task? Don't wait something to come to you. What you have to do is very beginning, initially in the project. So you have to talk about instance details. When you are in the project, okay, don't expect somebody will come to you and they'll share the instance details and they'll educate you about instance, etc. No, you should take initiative. It's very important. It's very important. If you are in this training, yes, we'll take the responsibility. We will share the instance details. When you are in the project, you should take initiative. So when you are in the project, you can ask your project manager. When you are in the project, you can ask your project manager. Mostly you establish the communication through Teams, Microsoft Teams. You can chat with the manager saying that. So you can ask the first thing, like, can I have access to instances? Can I have access to the client instance, test instance, production instance, what are the instances? Or else you can ask the question, hey, how many instances we are using in this project? Ask that question, they will answer. Then ask instance access. In some projects, directly they will share instance details. In some projects, there should be approval from the client side. You will initiate a request saying that you need instance access. There will be internal approvals and you will get instance with your email ID. Okay, they map with your email ID, they'll create the instance credentials and they'll share with you. And sometimes it could be SSO, single sign-on. We'll understand that. Single sign-on means you don't need to log in every time. They will map with other single sign-on, whatever the credentials you are using. Without entering, you will have an entry into the instance. It could be any approach. So you have to talk to your manager and manager will provide the instance details when you are in the project. So you are not in the project. You joined in one company. You are not in the project. You are waiting for the project. So then what you can do is you can make an inquiry with anybody saying that, hey, do we have any internal test instance? You are in the company, so you are not part of any project, but on the floor you can find the people who are working on the financials applications and you can talk to anyone. You have to take initiative. Talk to anybody who is working on the Oracle applications. It could be finance, SCM, HCM, doesn't matter. Talk to them and make inquiry. Hey, do we have any instance, which is internal test instance, internal test instance? Ask them. They may tell you, if you need internal test environment, you please contact so and so person. They may tell you. So you contact them. How to contact? Through Teams. Talk to them, chat with them. And if somebody will ask you why you need this internal test instance, you can say, just I want to keep it handy. If sometimes, if it is required, I may need it. So that's how you can answer. So when you are in the project, even when you are in the project, also try to have some internal test environment handy. Keep it, because sometimes if you want to test something, so in the client instance, even if it's a test instance, you have to test based on the client data. If you want to do some other testing kind of activity, or else you want to practice one more time what you are learning now, any other purpose, that is the best source which you can use. Try to get internal test environment. That will not be refreshed. If you get client internal, not client, so within your company, if you get kind of internal test environment, generally it will not be refreshed very frequently. The data will last for months, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, or else there could be practice every month they may refresh. Try to get it so that you can use it when you are in the project. You have to initiate. Along with that, along with instance details, always you ask to give the access to project related folder. Now we are going to kickstart with our learning. When you are in the project, how you have to kickstart. I am talking about it. When you get into the project, if you don't get into the project, try to get if any internal instance is available in that company. Just make an inquiry. People will guide you whom to contact, how to get it. Okay, you are in the project. Yes, you talk to your project manager. to help you to get the client instance access. Directly they may give you access by sharing the URL and some common username also. Sometimes in the projects, so they may not create immediately one user login separately with your email ID. There could be one common login name where everybody may use in the project, whatever it may be the case, but you ask and you get it. Once you get instance access, along with instance access, you should take initiative to ask to get access to project related folder. Okay, the shared folder. So that you should ask. You should ask the drive access, should ask the project repository where they maintain all project related documents. You have to ask them, then only they'll give access. Otherwise, you onboard into the project, you are not asking. They are not interested to give. They are busy with their works. Always you have to ask. Whatever you want, that you have to ask, you can get. These are the 2 points. So we have to understand when you talk about instance. When you get into the project, try to get access to internal test instance that you may use for your practices. Apart from that, try to get access to, you ask and get access to client related test environment and production environment. Make an inquiry how many instances are being used in that project. And another important point, when you are in the project, so if it is implementation project, yes, you will get full access to instances. Whatever the instance you will get full access. If you are going to work on support instance, if you are going to work on support project, the instances what you get, there could be restriction. In some projects, you will get read-only access. You will get read-only access. Yes, for a test instance, you will get read and write. You can do anything in the test instance, but when they give you the production instance access, they will give read-only access. Again, that depends on the years of experience you have. Even you have a less years of experience, in some projects, you will get full access to production also. In some projects, depending on your experience, depending on the arrangement what they have in the project from the client side, so accordingly you'll get access. You should aware all these points. You should not expect all the time you'll get full access when you are in the support project. You have to look at your years of experience and the style, how they give access in that project. So as per the plan, these are the points we should aware. So in case of implementation, you will get full access to any instance since you are going to work as a consultant. If it is a support project, you may get full access, may not get full access. So that are all depending on the project which you are in. So any questions on this point, whatever we discussed about instance accesses, if you have any questions, please go ahead with your questions. Yes. Unmute and ask.
So Lakshman, every time whenever the instant is refreshed, whatever we done, like so all the work is going to wiped out, right? Again, we need to do that. Let's say if
Yes.
I'm working on
We
AR.
are talking about learning, right? Yes.
Yeah.
When instance will get refreshed, again you have to do from the scratch, and we have a different strategies how to reduce our burden. That you will learn. We can use the spreadsheets. You can put the data in the spreadsheet and you can create the files and you can load. If instance will get refreshed, again you no need to do it from the scratch. Just submit the files, your setup should be ready. Still, it is becoming challenge for you. I'll tell you the other options also. Yep.
Yep.
We can handle that.
Lakshman, regarding this instance, downtime, do we get some intimation in advance about, there will be downtime for the instance unavailability or something like this?
No.
So that we are prepared our configurations, whatever we will do? No.
We don't get any update. We don't get any update. It's all like Oracle. See, we are not a client, right? We are not a client. Again, the purpose of instance is just for learning purpose. That is the reason they don't keep all these on top priority. So no intimation, we or you get. So they do, will learn from that. That's it.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
And one more question, Lakshman. This is not about the topic, but is there a possibility like the Excel that we are maintaining as a notes? Can we use separate tabs day wise? It will be easy for us to maneuver around. Just a thought, maybe.
Yeah, I'm giving this, this, what happens is, again, if you want to refer something, etc. And again,
Yeah.
going forward, will be working on one module, one application. So those
Okay.
all I have to keep in one place only, right? What I will do is maybe up to 10 sessions, I'll keep in one sheet, 10 sessions in another sheet. Please look at your background, please. Some noise, please. Yeah, you can unmute and go ahead. So we'll do that. We will do that. Otherwise, you can copy. But every session, one sheet doesn't make sense. Again, switching across the sheets. Maybe 10 sessions in one sheet, that 11 to 20 in another sheet. That makes sense. We'll see what
Sure.
works better. That we'll see. We'll adapt.
Sure. Thanks. Yeah. Okay.
Lakshman, in this regarding the topic, you said that in the support project we only get read-only access from the some clients, right? So if you have to make changes for that instance, so who will be the authorized person we can get the access from, or we can do it from our end only, to from read-only to make edits.
See, when you have a read-only, you cannot do anything. Okay. So you have read-only means read-only. You cannot do any changes also. So in that
So
case,
at that time,
one second. In that case, what we have to do is, so when you are in the project, maybe your years of experience is less. That could be the one reason why they give a read-only access, or else you are very new to that project, you don't know anything. That could be the reason, or else maybe to give you the full access, some approvals are required internally. That is the reason temporary purpose they given read-only access. It could be any case. So when you are in the project, if you get read-only access based on the task, what task you get, resolving the issues if you are in the support project. So they will give you read-only access so that you can go and look into the data. But you want to verify something. The read-only doesn't support, or else you want to change something to resolve the issues that read-only doesn't allow you. In that case, you can talk to the rest of team members. Maybe you are standing at 5 years of experience. There are few consultants with the 10 years, 15 years of experience, the same project from finance side. You talk to them. Hey, I have a read-only access. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to verify. Then they will come back to you saying that if anything you want to do, so you look into that, try to identify what's wrong. If anything you want to do, please tell us, we will do it for you. Or else they may tell you, okay, we will get you that access. They will tell you. You have to talk to the team. Accordingly, things will work.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah. Any other questions about this instance stories? Okay, great. No questions. Now, so let's talk about the user creation. User creation. So when you talk about the user creation within the instance, as a consultant, the fresh instance, okay, the fresh instance. So by default, Oracle will create 1 or 2 users for our client. That user credentials, our client will receive. That credentials we will receive from our manager, or maybe directly from the client through email. Okay, the story is, when client will get instance, Oracle will create few logins for the client, and that they'll share with the client. When you are in the project, directly you may get email from the client, which will address about the instance URL and login credentials, or else those may be routed through manager. When you are in the project, the client may share the instance URL and the credentials to the manager. The manager may share with us. Now, when you are in the project, how many users need to be created when you are in the implementation project? It totally depends. In some projects, what we do is initially we may create only one user for finance. If there are 3 or 4 finance consultants, all consultants may use the same user for some time. Later point of time, we may create separate users. And definitely we'll have a separate users for finance one user, SCM separate user, HCM separate users. In some projects, the very beginning we'll have a one user. With that we'll start working. Slowly we'll be creating the separate users and will work as per our tracks. And in some projects, no. From beginning itself, every user, every consultant will have their separate login. These are the different possible the working stories in the market. Okay, so when you are in the implementation project, you may get dedicated user with your email ID, or maybe with your employee ID or some other internal ID, you may get it. Or else for entire finance team, initially there could be only one user. Later you may create separate users. It could be plan your project lead or a solution architect or your manager may say, guys, use this username. Later we'll create separate user IDs for everybody. This could be the story. But whatever it may be, in the instance, in the beginning, when you are working for implementation project, in the very beginning, in the kickoff, starting, so whatever the user we use, that user you can call as implementation user. Implementation user. So implementation user is required by consultants. This user will be used by consultants. But reality, if company is going to use this instance, your client is going to use the instance for those users, those employees, we don't use implementation user. For those employees, we'll have an employee user. So users are classified into two types: implementation user, employee user. Implementation user and employee user. So all the employees who are going to work on the instance after implementation, they will have a employee user access. And during the implementation, when we kickstart the implementation, as a consultant, we will create implementation user. The later implementation user can be converted as an employee user also. That story we will understand later, but try to understand the difference. There are two types of users: implementation user and employee user. Very simple difference is employee user will have an employee record associated with that user. Implementation user cannot have by default any employee associated record, because we are from outside. As a consultants, we are not part of the client team. We are from outside. Ideally, we create implementation users. So we'll start working. And another important point also, in the beginning of implementation, you cannot create employee users. After completing few setups in the system environment, then only we can create employee user. So if you want to do everything in the instance environment, employee user is required, but there is no opportunity to create the employee user in the beginning. Only one option is we can create only implementation user. With the help of implementation user, we'll do required basic setups. Then system will allow us to convert implementation user as a employee user. So this is a story we have to understand. Once we get into that, we can understand more detail level. As of now, understand there are two type of users. Initially, whatever we create, that we call as implementation user, and employee user is very powerful. Again, that depends on the roles what we are assigning. And implementation user, yes, we have to use this user to kickstart with your system related configuration within the instance. What are the setups you have to do, that you can do with implementation user only. But if you want to perform the transactions, employee user is required. Even to do few setups, employee user is required. When, how, where, all the stories we will understand more detail level. Now we are not trying to dig into this two aspects of the user creation. Let's focus on, be aware of two type of users. Now let's focus on implementation user. If you want to work as a consultant, you need implementation user, and implementation user need what sort of access in the system environment. Let's see. So if you are going to work as a consultant, we have to create the implementation user. Say the implementation user name. Okay, you may create as FinIMPL. Okay, you may create the name as FinIMPL, because say this user we are going to use across our finance team, or else maybe I want to use it. I'm giving the name as a FinIMPL so that it indicates I am planning to implement finance applications. So this is how I want to create the user. When I create the user as a consultant, I need full access to the instance. I need full access. As a consultant, I should be in the position to do required configuration in the system so that all the applications can be implemented, business can use those applications. So if you want to allow this FinIMPL user to act as an implementation consultant, we need to assign few roles. What we have to assign? Roles. Which roles we have to assign? The roles are application implementation consultant. So we have to assign application implementation consultant role to the user, as well as you have to assign IT security manager role. These two roles we have to assign to the user. Okay, we have to assign these two roles to user so that that user will be able to act as implementation consultant. The user will be able to act as a implementation consultant. Now, what is the purpose we have to assign these two roles? What is the purpose? So what is the use of application implementation consultant role? What is the use of IT security manager role? Let's talk about it. If you assign application implementation consultant role to user, which is used by consultants, that consultant will be able to perform the setups. So I'm working as a finance consultant. I got access to FinIMPL user, but to this user, this role is not assigned. I may be consultant. Since application implementation consultant role is not assigned to my user, I cannot do the setups. I cannot implement payables, I cannot implement receivables, I cannot implement any other application. Okay, user may be designed for consultants, but role is not available. So application implementation consultant role will allow the consultants to perform the setups. You can call as a setups or you can call as a configuration. Use any term. Okay. You may perform the setups or you may call it as configuration. And what is the use of IT security manager? The IT, you can see the term called as security. It deals with the security. So with the help of IT security manager, you can create users and you can assign roles to users. Means which user need access to which application, or which user need access to which role. Okay, it's all about security. Administration kind of activities can be performed with the help of IT security manager. Say I'm working as a consultant. I got credentials with this name, FinIMPL. To this FinIMPL user, only application implementation consultant role is assigned. That means I can do only setups. Which application setups? Any application related setups. Remember, if you have access to application implementation consultant, you can do finance setups, SCM setups, HCM setups. Or else within the finance, any application specific setups you can do. But I cannot create users and I cannot assign any roles to users if I don't have access to IT security manager. If you are going to work as a consultant within the implementation project, these two roles are recommended. You should have. These two roles are required for every consultant. That is the reason in the fresh instance, when we create our own user, create user and assign these two roles. And we discussed one point, when we are in the fresh implementation project, yes, Oracle will create the user, they'll share the credentials to the client. Those we will receive from the client or through our manager. When we get those credentials, that credentials may have access to these two roles, or those user that credentials that user may have access to only IT security manager. But generally we don't go with that user credentials what we get. Generally we create our own credentials to kickstart the implementation, so that's what we have to discuss. And again, if you are in the project, don't jump into the instance to create your own users. Now when you are practicing, nobody will stop you. You are learning, you can create n number of users, no issues, but not required. When you are in the project, so you don't have years of experience, too much of experience, so learn from the project. When you are in the project, you don't go ahead and create the users by thinking you need user. You talk to the team. So you will have a finance team. There could be 2 members, 3 members, 5 members, depending on the project. There could be 10 members finance team also. So be in the team and understand from the team what is the plan, whether they want to create 1-2 users, or else for every consultant they want to have a separate login credentials. Understand the style, accordingly proceed. You don't take decisions when you are in the project. Talk to the senior consultant or lead consultant or solution architect. You can talk to solution architect, say like, do I get separate user credentials to this instance, or is there any common user which we are going to use across? You ask that question, then you will learn from that. Okay, so you don't create. If you get access to the instance, you don't start creating your own users. Don't do that. Understand how that arrangement in that project, act accordingly. Now, so we are trying to understand these are the two roles we required whenever we want to act as implementation consultant. And purpose also we discussed. Application implementation consultant role will allow us to perform the setups. IT security manager role will allow us to create the new users, and for which user what access required. Means there is one user who is working for payables department. Now we have to assign payable related roles to that user. Another user is working for receivables department. Means the user need access to receivables application. So for every application, we have a separate roles. Now here, what are the roles we are talking? It is related to consultant role. So apart from these consultant related roles, we have for every application separate roles. Say in AP, you want to create invoice. We have one role. You want to create invoice and you want to process the payment. We have separate role. You want to create the supplier. Yes, we have separate role for supplier. In receivables, you want to create billing. Yes, we have one role. You want to create the receipt. We have separate roles. You want to create billing. You want to do the billing as well as you want to create the receipt in receivables. Yes, to perform these two activities, we have another role. So this is how for each and every application, Oracle is delivering the roles. Oracle is providing the roles. The roles, whatever Oracle is providing, those roles we call as seeded roles. So whatever the roles Oracle is providing, those roles we call as seeded roles, or call as Oracle delivered roles. Remember this terminology, why I am emphasizing. Whatever you are using the classes, the same you should use it. If you use your own words, doesn't work. Okay, seeded roles, or we call as Oracle delivered roles. What are the roles Oracle is providing? Those roles you can call as Oracle delivered roles or seeded roles. So apart from what Oracle is providing based on our business requirement means our client business requirement. Based on our client business requirement, we need to create new roles. Whenever you create something new, that we call as customization. That means we can create custom roles that we will have a separate session. Yeah, we'll have a separate session on that. So how to create the new roles? Nothing but custom roles. You can create the role from the scratch, or else whatever Oracle is providing, that you can copy and modify, and you can just do various, you can there are some classification also that we have to understand. For now, simple point, you can take the roles what we are discussing here. These roles are seeded roles: application implementation consultant and IT security manager. These two roles are seeded roles. We no need to create this. Oracle is delivering. That is the reason we call as seeded roles. Based on the business requirement, we can create the custom roles. Just make a note, we can create the custom role. We will have a separate session on that. Now, this is what you have to understand. Now, let me take you through the instance, how to log into the instance with the existing user, how to create our own user, how to assign these two roles. With these two roles, are we able to have access to this setup environment? And from our user, because of this role, will you be able to create the new user? We will test it. Okay. Now the targeted task is create user and assign the roles. That's it. What we are going to do: create user. Next task is assign roles. Which roles? These two roles. Two roles. The fresh instance. This is how we have to start our task. Create your own user and assign the roles. Or else you got one user, and to that user already these two roles are assigned. Yes, you can proceed with that user. When you are practicing an instance, what we will do is we will create as we discussed. Okay, we are providing 3 users, and you can log into the instance by using any one of the user. Once you log in, create your own user by following the process what we are going to discuss. So don't start working on the instance with the user what we are providing. Remember, always create your own user and start working from that user. The user what we are providing just to log in. From there, you have to create your user. From that user, you have to practice. Don't use the user what we are providing for your practice purpose. So that is a note. Now, we'll see how to create our own user.
Lakshman, can I ask a question?
Let me just complete this part. Okay. So I will give the time to ask the questions. I'll be requesting for questions. Meantime, if you have just questions, please make a note. That is a request. I'll complete. Reason, your question may be like, it can be resolved. I mean, you may get answered once we go through it. Yeah.
Sure, thanks.
Yeah, great. So this is a cloud environment. Okay. So you'll get instance for your practice. This is a cloud environment. So you can connect from your any device where internet is enabled. So let me log into this instance. So this is how you will get one user. Okay, we will share user credentials. This is how just use the instance URL and log into the instance. Now don't try to understand what you see in this page. Slowly we will understand one by one. Now what is our target? What is our target? User creation and assigning these two roles. Okay, you will understand everything. What you see here, slowly you will understand. Now, there is no urgency to understand all these points. Let's proceed with our targeted task. So here, the name they given, it is a logo. When you are in the project, here, the technical consultant will upload the logo. Technical consultant will upload the logo. Even if you want to just see, I'll show you how to upload the logo. We'll keep this later. Now it's not required. So this is just logo. So Oracle uploaded logo with the name called as Vision. That means we can understand within this environment, we have a sample data also, but we don't use any sample data. So next to logo, left side, we have 3 bars, a kind of hamburger icon. Now click on this, it will open one panel. This we are calling as a navigator. We have a navigator icon. Click on navigator icon. The panel is open. So within this panel, you have a different tasks. This all you call as a different task or call as sections. We have a different sections. Home, me, procurement, etc. These are basic sections. Now we want to create the user. To create the user, we have to go to tools section. We have to go to tools. Click on tools. It will expand. Under tools section, we have multiple tasks. Under tools section, these all we call as different tasks. These all we call as different tasks. Under tools, we have to select the task called as security console. There is one task called as security console. If you click on security console task, it will navigate us to security console page. From there, we can create the user. From there, we can create the user. Just let me repeat this step, which is very simple. Log into the instance, click on this navigator icon. The panel is open. Within the panel, expand tools. Under tools, we have one task called as security console. Click on security console task. Please capture each and every step what we are discussing and doing. Otherwise, when you are practicing, you cannot practice because you don't have proper information with you. Write all these details, irrespective of your qualification and experience. If you want to learn, write it. You can understand by attending, but later you cannot practice. If you don't practice, no use. Tomorrow you will find you learn nothing. So capture everything, practice and read, then you can get something. So click on security console task. Now it will navigate us to security console page. Ignore this message. Ignore this message. Now, here is user section. Within this page, select users. Select users. Now you can see one tab called as add user account. Add user account. If you want to find out existing users, from here you can search. From here you can search for users from here. So we didn't create any user. Let's create new user. Click on add user account. Click on add user account. So we are going to create which user? Implementation user. Okay, we have 2 types of users, implementation user and employee user. If you want to create employee user, it is not possible in the very fresh instance. Many setups we have to complete, then only system will support us to create the employee user. Anyway, we will create employee user. That time we will understand why we are not able to create employee user in the beginning. So now our target is implementation user creation. Okay, implementation user creation. So here we have very limited fields which are mandatory fields. Fill those fields. We'll understand what is the user category, etc. We will discuss. Okay, for now, let's see how to create the user. So provide the last name. So we want to give the last name as FinIMPL. That is a username I need. Last name, first name, I'm not preferring. So I just first name anyway optional. I'm giving last name, the complete name what I need for my user. And you may provide email, phone number, etc. but optional fields. The name whatever I given as a last name, that system is defaulting as username. If you want to change, you can change, or else you can accept. And set password. There is a password policy. If you place the cursor on that information icon, you could see the simple password policy we have at least 8 characters, 1 number. This policy we can define. We will understand that everything we can do from the user category. We can create our own category. There we can set the rule. So which fields, whether email ID should become mandatory, or we want to take email ID as a username, and what should be the password policy, all we can set up by creating the user category as per our requirement, means as per client requirement. Okay, what is a password policy? Whether system has to create the username by taking the first name and last name. So the combinations, how that information need to be concatenated, those we can define in the user category. That we will see later. First, let's focus on just user creation. And set password. Okay, set password. Confirm the password. Now, if you look at this page, okay, below you can see one more tab called as add role. We can add the role to this user. We can add the role to this user. We discussed 2 roles we have to assign. Okay, by using add role, we can assign the roles to this user. We'll assign the roles after some time. First, we'll complete the user creation. There are other fields also. You will understand. Don't set expectation. You want to grab everything now itself. Everything will become difficult. Slowly you will understand what we should understand. Okay. So we'll go as required. So I given last name. I provided a username, password, and confirm the password. Click on save and close. So now let's find out our user here. So search and find the user. Username is FinIMPL. So FinIMPL means Fin, finance, short name I'm giving prefix, IMPL, finance implementation. Implementation I'm giving as IMPL, means finance implementation, short name I'm giving. For finance implementation purpose, I created a user called as FinIMPL. Provide the name, click on search. Click on search. Now, so here we have few actions. You can see the information. The display name is username, and the username same name, display name, username same. We didn't provide any email ID. That is the reason we don't find any email. And what is the status of this user? Active, not inactivated. Whether user account is locked or not. If this user account is locked, you cannot log into the instance with this username. Okay, if you log the user account, you cannot log into the instance with this username. Let's look at actions. Okay, let's look at actions. Click on the actions drop down. So here is a lock. If you click on lock, this account will be locked. If you want to reset the password for this user, just click on reset password. Select manually, change the password. Here you can provide the new password. And say reset. So this is how you can reset the password for any user. And there are a few other actions. Delete. Yes, you can delete the user, but it won't be deleted permanently from the database. That would be deleted from this page. Okay, from this page it will be deleted. Again, you cannot search and find this user, but that user will remain in the database The reason, there could be transactions or activities which you did with that user, the timestamp and the history need to be maintained when what the user did. For that reason, the user will remain in the database, but temporarily that will be deleted from this page. Once you delete this user, you cannot see from this page. So that's how it would be. If you have a multiple users, you can compare one user with another user to understand what roles are assigned between those two users. And copy user, you can copy this user. So to copy whatever the roles you assign to this user, that's how you can do. Now these are not applicable because we don't have any complete user definition with the roles, etc. Just try to understand as of now, any user account you can log. Once you log that, by using that user, you cannot log into the instance. You can reset the password. You can delete the user also, but it is not permanent deletion, kind of temporary deletion. Once you delete that user, you cannot find from this page. So that's how it is. Now you can ask your questions, whatever we discussed so far about the user or creation in the system.
Lakshman, I'll go first. So maybe, so can I say like, every implementation user will have the security console access, but not all security users will have the implementation options in the system? Is that a right statement?
Can you repeat once again?
So can I say that every implementation user having the role of implementation user will have the access
No,
to
no,
the
one second. Not user. Implementation role. Application
yeah,
implementation consultant role. Right?
correct.
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Now
yeah.
go ahead.
So this role, so every implementation role will have the security role enabled, but all the security role will not have the implementation role. Can I say that?
See, when we are working in the project, by default, you need access to these two. Okay. There is no good reason to segregate because you are a consultant. You should not have any too much dependency on other consultants, right? Because you don't have access to something and you will stop doing, or you will stop calling to somebody, you will start asking somebody. So it's very simple. Every implementation user who are working as a consultant in the implementation project, we are talking about implementation project. Support project, it's a different story. Okay, support project, so creating users and all, they may give you access if you are a consultant, or else they may not give you access. From client side, somebody will create the user, somebody will assign the roles. Okay, that all depends on the client. But what we are talking implementation, all the time in implementation project, as a consultant, you will get access to application implementation consultant role plus IT security manager role. That's it.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Any other questions here, please?
Yes,
Uh,
Lakshman,
Here
actually,
I have,
Please.
yeah, here the user you said like status is active, right? Is there an option to inactivate the user?
So inactive, yes, we can do. There will be one checkbox if you open it. Okay, see. Now I'll click on the username. The user record will be open. Now I'll click on edit. Now I can inactivate. Uncheck, it will be inactivated.
Okay.
And if you want to lock it, even it is active, still you can lock. Since it is locked, you cannot log into the instance with this user.
Okay.
I'm
So
clicking
in what
cancel.
scenarios usually the user is deleted?
See, reality, it is not a good practice, right? Deleting user is not a good practice. So they give an option, but not to delete permanently. Generally, business, they don't delete anything. The option is given somewhere, something you created by mistake, some user, for that reason you may use it. You created some user, you used to do something within the environment, it is not at all recommended to delete. You may inactivate or you may lock.
Can we disable that option, delete option?
See, these all will be managed by administrator.
Okay.
Okay, business users will not get access. Administrator knows what to do, what not to do. That is the reason we no need to disable it. If you are giving this access to business users, they don't know, they play left and right. That is the reason we have to think through. This should not be given, we should disable. Since this will be handled by very limited people, like 1 or 2 people in the project from the client side. So in case of support project, in case of implementation, we will have access. Anyway, business users will not have access to these pages. So that is the reason there is no need of disabling the delete option.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thanks.
Lakshman, actually, I just wanted to compare this with ERP. These two roles are similar to our application developer and system administrator responsibility, or any difference between ERP and these two roles?
Yeah. If you compare with the EBS, we have a system administrator responsibility in EBS. Okay, system administrator responsibility. These two roles are equal to system administrator responsibility. If you talk about system administrator responsibility in EBS, from system administrator responsibility, you can create the users. Here, what we are assigning roles, there we call as responsibilities in EBS that we assign. And you can create everything from scratch from the system administrator. These two roles are equal to EBS system administrator responsibility. That's it.
But this application implementation,
Yes.
actually, we have
Can
not
we do
seen.
all the setups from system administrator in EBS?
Yes.
Yes, you can do that. You can create
Yes.
responsibilities. You can, from responsibility, you can do all the setups from where those are triggering from the same role, right? So that is the reason
Yes.
these two are equal to that one responsibility.
Okay. Okay. But here we have segregated as two, right? That's why I just wanted to understand these two
Yes.
have.
Segregated. Yes, segregated. Who wants to do the setups? Who want to maintain the security? Both need to be handled by one. Assign both.
Got it. But what I thought is like the first one, the
No,
application
that's okay.
implementation
What you thought,
consultant.
don't mind. I'm not stopping you. But if you have any questions, just see. This is the point. You know about EBS. Now we are discussing about Fusion. If you have any just questions, direct questions, you can ask me.
Okay.
Yeah. Fine. Any other questions here, please?
Lakshman, this compare users here, like we don't have that in EBS, right? Yeah.
Yes, yes.
This is something new in
Correct, correct. It's very simple. Why you have to compare what access this user has, what access that user has. Such kind of comparison, you can do it.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Seems to no questions. Now we'll go ahead and we'll assign the roles. So these are the two roles we are going to assign to the user: application implementation consultant and IT security manager. Now, to assign the roles, you click on display name or click on username. Both got hyperlink. Now click on edit. Click on edit. Edit this user record. Now here is one tab. Add role. Click on add role. So we are going to search for application implementation consultant role. So we know the role name, but I'm not going to type complete name. I'll type partial name, application implementation. Okay. I'm not typing the full name. I'm typing only application implementation. Now you see, there are some similar roles. We discussed about application implementation consultant. You could see with the same name, one more copy is available. Application implementation consultant, application implementation consultant. And one more role name, application implementation consultant copy. Application implementation consultant copy. That means here we have it two records. The two records copied also. Two records copied also. Now we can see 4 records with application implementation consultant name. When you look at these two copy records, what is the difference you find? The name is same, but under name there is code. It is starting with ORA ASM. It is starting with ASM. ORA. Okay. When you are working for client, you don't see two copies. You will see only one copy. Since it's a practice instance, they are giving the two copies. What you have to choose is the role which is starting with ORA. That is the point. You have to select the role which is starting in the role code with ORA. Role name is application implementation consultant. The role code is ORA. Since this is a practice instance, somebody copied these two roles. Even we are going to copy for our practice purpose. Now, what role we have to select? Application implementation consultant, where role code is starting with ORA. So this is what we have to understand. Okay. So ORA. ASM stands for application setup manager. Okay. Application setup manager. So it's like FSM, functional setup manager, application setup manager. So with the FSM, functional setup manager, what we do, application specific setups we do. That is a term they are giving as a short. So this we have to select. Along with application implementation consultant, there are a few other roles. Let's notice. Application implementation administrator. Same story here also. And application implementation manager. Okay. So overall, you can see three types of roles here. Application implementation consultant, application implementation administrator, application implementation manager. So in case of fresh instance, client instance, you will have only three roles. These many roles you don't find in the fresh instance. One is application implementation administrator, where code is starting with ORA. Application implementation consultant, where the code is starting with ORA. Application implementation manager, where code is starting with ORA. Rest all you don't see. Rest all, many roles are copied, and few are, they just Oracle itself, they duplicated by differentiating with the role codes. So this is the point we have to understand. Now, which role is powerful? We have a application implementation administrator, consultant, and manager. Which role is powerful? The role which we are talking about as application implementation consultant, that role is very, very powerful. That role will have all the privileges, even you compare with administrator and manager. So that is the reason we have to use application implementation consultant role. So assign application implementation consultant role, where role code is starting with ORA. So search for application implementation consultant only. Now the first one, rest 3 ignore. These 3 or 10 extra also you see in this kind of test instances. In fresh instance, when you are working for client, when you search with this string application implementation consultant, you will find only one record. That record is first record. Rest you don't see anything until unless in client instance also if you copy and if you modify something else. So otherwise only one. This is a seeded role Oracle is providing. Select. Now with this name, 2 roles are available, 2 copies. So first one you have to select. Click on this first record where name is application implementation consultant, code is starting with ORA. Click on this record. Record is selected. Now click on add role membership, means assign role to user. They are giving the tab name as the text as a add role membership. Add role membership is nothing but assign role to user. Now click on the tab. In the background you can see application implementation consultant role is assigned. Role name and role code you can see. Now we have to assign one more role. We have to assign one more role. That role name is IT security manager. Okay, we need to assign IT security manager role. Same process. IT security manager. So same points are applicable here also. In case of fresh instance, you will find only first record. IT security manager, where the code is starting with ORA, remaining these three. These two are copied. Somebody in this instance for testing purpose, see, this is ORA. That means this they copied. They given some text as a note as a do not use. And this role also somebody copied and they written as a do not use it. Means they did some changes. Anyway, we have seeded one why to use this. And these three you don't see in the fresh instances. So since this instance we are using for testing training purpose, so these additional records are available. Otherwise you see only first record when you search with the string called as IT security manager. Now select the first record. The same, once again you just select the record, click on add role membership. Please make a note of each and every point what we are discussing as well as what we are doing in instance. So that only will become asset for us. What you write that will become asset. If you just attend, no use. You will understand over. Click on add role membership. That's all. We plan to assign only two roles. Primarily these two roles are required for consultants. Now click on done since we completed assignment. Now here is our user. Here you can see what roles are assigned to this user. So anytime you can remove the role. Here is the delete. Here is the delete option. Okay, you can remove. So this auto provisioning, these points we'll discuss. Those are for advanced. Now we should not get into that. It will create a lot of confusion. We have to play the game. Once we build that muscle, we can do that. So this is how we have to assign. After assigning, say save and close. So save and close. Again, if you want to assign any additional roles, click on edit and follow the same process. You are done with the role assignment, then click on done. So anytime you can just find out your user, click on username, and you can go and verify which roles are assigned with this user. So this is how we can create user and we can assign the roles. Now we will log into the instance with this user. Whatever the user we created just now, with that user we'll go and log into the instance and we will see whether this user got access to do the setups, as well as from this user can we create new users, can we assign the roles, we will verify. Okay, we will test. So because of application implementation consultant, to which pages we can access, with IT security manager, what we can access. We'll go and see that. After completing that, if you have any questions, we will discuss. Now, so just log out from the current user. We use a different user to log in, log out. We created one user called as FinIMPL and provide the password. Sign in. Now we are able to log in. First, we'll check because of application implementation consultant role, what we can access. We'll go and verify. If you want to check whether you are able to do the setups from this user or not, click on the username. In the right side corner, top corner, you can see username. So first two letters. Okay, here you can see, here is the user. Click on the username. The panel is open. So within this panel, here is one task. setup and maintenance. If you are able to see this task called as setup and maintenance, you can understand this user can perform the setups. When you see this task called as setup and maintenance, you can understand which role is assigned to this user. Which role is assigned? Application implementation consultant. If you assign application implementation consultant role, then you will be able to see setup and maintenance task within this panel. If you click on setup and maintenance task, where it will navigate us to setup page as we discussed. From where we can perform the setups to that page, system will navigate us. So how to test it? Click on the username. The panel is open. Under administration section, we have one task called as setup and maintenance. Click on setup and maintenance task. Now we are in this page. Now, what is your requirement? You want to implement financials applications. So here we have a field called as setup, and we have a drop down. We have a drop down. So which applications you want to implement, those applications we have to select here. Click on drop down and select financials. Now we selected. Okay. Under setup, we selected financials. Now we can do finance related setup. See here, applications we have general ledger application, we have payables application, we have cash management application, we have expense application, fixed assets, receivables application. So these applications you can set up. Now we no need to get inside of those relevant configuration that we'll see later. Just we are testing whether this user is able to navigate to the relevant pages to perform the setups. So because of application implementation consultant role, this user is able to navigate to this page. If you don't assign application implementation consultant role to this user, if you click on the username here, you don't see setup and maintenance task. If you don't see the task, you cannot navigate to this page. So this is the point you have to understand. Now, we will verify because of IT security manager role, what this user can access, how you can confirm. So this user has access to IT security manager without verifying in the user account. We'll check it. When we assign application IT security manager role to the user, what we can access, we will see. To check, go to navigator. Go to navigator. So within the navigator, you see many sections here. Now go to tools. Go to tools. Expand tools. Under tools, if we are able to see task called as security console, then we can say to this user, IT security manager role is assigned. If you don't assign IT security manager role to this user, under tools, we don't see security console. If you are able to see security console under tools, that means from which user you are taking the navigation to that user, IT security manager role is assigned. That is the meaning of it. Now click on security console. It will take us to the page from where we can create the user. So from the new user, we are able to access to security console. So from here, you can find out the user what we created, FinIMPL. If you want to create new user account, yes, you can create. So that means the FinIMPL user is able to create the new users because of IT security manager. So we created a user, we assign these two roles to the user. And what is the purpose of these two roles? We discussed very high level, not very, very detailed level. Going forward, we'll understand more detail. But now these are the points we have to understand. The purpose of these two roles we discussed. The purpose of application implementation consultant role is to perform the setups. The purpose of IT security manager role is to deal with the security, means user creation role assignments. And we tested, we verified after assigning these two roles to one user, that user is able to access to the relevant environments or not. We checked, yes, the user is able to access. So this is what we have to understand about user creation and very basic role assignments, which we call as seeded roles or Oracle delivered roles. Now, any questions from anyone, please?
Hi, Lakshman sir, good morning. Just wanted to know the rule code which are mentioned over there. Is it referencing to any table, schema and table? Is it related to schema and table, or it is there just for the reference?
See, anything you do in the system, the data where it has to be stored and all, there will be schema. Okay, there will be schema in the backend side. Okay, so when you understand that environment, what we call, you will understand the schema also. Ideally, that environment we call as FSM. Okay, the FSM. When you talk about roles, for roles security, there will be a separate schema. When you talk about the setup environment, for that separate schema will have. But we no need to do anything. When you write SQL query, I'll show you the schemas what Oracle is allowing us to access. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Any other questions here, please?
Lakshman, actually, the setup and maintenance task, right? This is assigned to, like, this is mapped with application implementation. Do we have any other task also mapped with this particular role, or this is the only task assigned to this?
Your voice is not clear. Maybe you can keep a little distance between the mic and right. Check it.
Lakshman, actually, this setup and maintenance role task, right? This task is assigned to this application implementation role. Do we have any other task under this role?
One second. See, this setup and maintenance task is part of application implementation consultant role, right? This task
Yes.
is derived from that role. Now, what is your question?
Do we have any other task also, or this particular role has only this task?
Yeah, setup related only this task.
Okay.
Yeah, setup related only this task. Any other questions?
Lakshman, those two roles, right? Application implementation and this IT
Security manager.
at a security. So at the client location, do they customize those
Not
roles or
required.
they?
Not required, because those roles for consultants, always we customize the roles which are used by business. Yeah.
Okay.
We
This
no
is
need
the
to
standard.
customize. No need to customize. We don't do that.
Okay.
Any other questions here?
Sir, you shown while the time of assigning implementations, starting with ORA. What is the meaning of ORA?
Oracle prefix ORA. Okay, ORA CLE, ORA prefix. That's it. Any other questions?
These two roles in an organization, to whom we will usually assign these users?
No, consultant. Only consultants who are part of implementation or who are
Oh, okay.
part of support. Right? Only consultant need these two roles so that they can play the game.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So we never give access to these two roles to the business users who are working in payables department, receivables department. You take any business process. So we don't give access to these roles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Any other questions here?
Sir, what
Just
is
compare.
the difference between?
Yes.
Sir,
Venkat,
can I?
please.
Sir, what is the difference between selecting the starting with ORA and another one without starting with ORA?
See, we discussed one point. Anyway, you don't see those when you are working in the real project. But if you want to understand in which role you don't find ORA, in that you will not have any full privileges. Something you find as missing. That's it.
Okay, sir.
That's it.
So Lakshman, the basic difference between R12 and Cloud is like basically let's say if we need to make any setups in AP, we need to switch to that responsibility each time. But here we can just go to the financials and there you can see all the rules.
Yes. In EBS, in R12 or 11i, okay,
Yeah,
you'll have a application specific main menu, right?
yeah,
Within
yeah.
that main menu, you will have a task related to setups, means functions, right? We call as a
Yeah.
functions. You'll have a
Mm.
functions which allows you to do the setups, which allows you to record the transactions, right? Everything they clubbed.
Yeah.
Here they separated. If you want to do the setups, use application implementation consultant role. If you want to record invoice or payment, we will give you separate roles, use those. That's how they segregated.
But again, there in EBS, we need to switch to different responsibilities for AP and
Correct. Here you don't need to
Yeah.
switch.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. Yeah, please, Naveen.
You'll create any batch users for like let us take any to move some data from one into one.
To move,
You want to some additional data services. Let us take I want to schedule one batch job. I want to use a batch user ID to move the data to run the jobs instead of normal users. Do you have any specific differently to create a batch users?
here we don't have. Based on the usage and the process point of view, you can do that. You can group, maybe related to approvals, etc., etc. You can do that. But here we don't have that such kind of provision.
Okay.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Lakshman, can we create bulk users like 100 user, 1000 users like
Yes.
that?
Yes, we can create. For that, Oracle is providing separate sheet. When we are dealing with spreadsheets, I'll talk about those.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Implementation user means who can do configuration setups for the client, and employee user means like who can do data entry from the client side, right?
Correct. Yes. So implementation user who will be working on the implementation activities, configuration, and employee.
So
user
we are
means-
giving
Yeah, please go ahead.
we are giving roles to the employees.
Correct. Only
for
we are the consultants. We know what role to whom and what sort of privileges they need. Accordingly, we can customize the roles and we can provision the access.
So when the suppose the manager is not available, so whom we are going to ask for the instances like for the backup to the manager?
Can you repeat your question?
Suppose the manager is not available, so we are asking for instance to the client or the manager.
No, nothing.
The backup
See,
manager.
I am talking about in the beginning. Okay. In the beginning, when you are in the project, you need some inputs, right? Which instance?
Okay.
That time. Once you are in the project, you don't need to worry about manager. You will have a team, you will have a connect with the client, right? So you don't need to ask manager again and again. For the first time when you enter into the project, you need that feed information. So for that reason, once you start working in the project, so you will have a information in many ways.
Lakshman, so when we deactivate a user or lock the user, still whatever the transactions they have done in the past, it will still be stored in the history, right?
Yes.
Okay.
This tree will remain with the same username.
Okay. So
Yeah.
that will be used for the audit purpose. If it
Correct.
is required.
Yes.
Okay.
So, Lakshman, can implementation user be employee user and employee user be implementation user, or it's only like one-sided?
Implementation user, we can convert as an employee user.
Okay.
Okay. So once user is employee user, that employee user, you cannot remove the employee profile. So the employee user cannot become implementation user. So once you convert or once you create one user as an employee, it's employee only.
Okay, we can't
Reverse
make
it. We cannot
employee
reverse it.
user reverse. Okay,
We cannot
like
reverse.
employee user as the implementation user, right?
Yeah. Yes. See, once you work for one company as employee, even you may quit, you were employee of that company. That history cannot be changed, right? Same way here, who are not employee user, they can become employee user. Means your implementation user can become a employee user. Once your implementation user will be converted into employee user, again you cannot convert into, you cannot say like this user was not a employee user. It was, right? That you cannot reverse.
Lakshman, so once implementation user is converted to an employee user, will he still have
No.
this
Here, yeah, I'll
setup
answer
and
to your question, but let's not focus on that employee user since we don't know why, how, where, etc., etc. Just only the names we took. Now let's focus on implementation user. But now you can proceed with your question. But my point is, so once we see how employee user and what purpose, why we are creating, how it is different from this user, there we will get good clarity. So even if you understand more detail level, that will help us. Yeah. So I'll take this question. Rest we can turn off related to employee user because it's not very relevant now. When we are dealing with employee user, yes, we'll focus more and more. Yeah, you can go.
Lakshman,
So
like when we're
question-
creating.
No, one second. Sujan, you can go ahead.
Yeah. So my question is, when we convert an implementation user to an employee user, will he still have the setup and maintenance, or will we lose that?
See, by assigning these two roles, I'm calling that user as implementation user.
Yes.
I'll create a user called as FinIMPL. I don't assign this. Do you call that user as implementation user? You may call based on which page you are creating. Say, if you create from security console, that user is treated as implementation user. Okay. But I'm not assigning these two roles. Even the user is implementation user, he cannot do implementation, right?
Yes. Without these roles, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now I have implementation user. I will convert implementation user as employee user. Think this implementation user got access to these two roles. Now I'll convert this implementation user as employee user. Do you think employee user can act as an implementation user to perform the setups?
No, okay. The purpose of the
My
employee
point
user
is,
is like
see, simple. There is one user. How you are calling this user as implementation user? Because we are giving access to these two roles.
Yes.
So these are the tasks which are related to consultant. Now, FinIMPL, by default, you should call it as, because of these roles we are assigning implementation user.
Yes.
Right. Now I'll convert this implementation user as an employee user. So what the employee user can do, okay, that is equal to implementation user, right?
Yes.
Even you convert implementation user as employee user, but these two roles are already assigned.
Yes, still will be there. So you can still
Employee
do
user
the.
can act as an implementation user because of these two roles.
Yeah,
Now,
got it. Yeah, you will still have that.
Yes. Now another case.
Setup and.
Yes. Now another case, I'll convert this implementation user as an employee user and I will remove these two roles.
Okay.
Then implementation user is just employee user. No privileges, to do the setups through application implementation consultant role, IT security manager, no user creation, no user administration. Yep.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
entire
got it.
game based on the roles which are assigned. But in between, there is switching. When you convert implementation user as an employee user, there are certain privileges the user will get being an employee user.
Yeah. Mm.
But primary access always depending on the roles only.
Got
That's
it.
how it goes. Next
Thanks.
question, please. Yeah,
Lakshman.
thank you.
Yeah, Lakshman. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my question is like after we assign these two roles to our new user ID that we have created, so like apart from that, when we will be doing like certain modules, like at that time, do we need to have other roles also, or will these two roles will be sufficient for that?
No, we have to assign other roles to this user for our, we are working as a consultant and we have to test also, right?
Yeah.
So I want to test AP. If I want to test AP, first I have to set up AP, right?
Yeah.
By using application implementation consultant role, I can set up AP. I can keep AP ready. Now I want to create invoice and I want to create the payment. I want to do some other entries, right?
Right.
So we need to assign AP related roles to this user.
Okay.
Then only we can create the transaction. So we discussed application implementation consultant only for setup purpose, not for transactions purpose.
Okay. So
tomorrow, once we test if everything is working fine, which user need access to AP to create invoice and payments, for those users, we will assign only AP roles.
Okay.
Setup related role, application implementation consultant, we don't assign to them. Only transaction specific roles we will assign.
Okay, and when we create these, when we create that user, so do we need to run any process so that that gets implemented, that after we log in with that user ID, we can see that setup and maintenance, or is it like we just add the user and add these roles and save the user ID and that's all we have to do?
Not required. In the very, very beginning, in the very early versions, okay, whenever you assign, there is one program you have to run. These days, the Oracle completely stopped. They are giving the direct synchronization. But there are some cases where you have to run some program. That time we will discuss that. As of now, when you create user, when you assign these roles, you no need to run. There are some other specific roles, that time you have to run. We will discuss.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, for these two roles, don't run anything. Create user, assign these, log out and log in with your user, log out from the current user, log in with this new user, it works.
Okay, and you will tell us the roles when we move forward with the class. So like with different modules, you'll tell us which roles are required for which module, right?
Yes, we are going to work on those. That's all about the program. Yeah.
Okay.
We come across each and everything.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Next question, please.
Venkat, when we were assigning these application implementation consultants, so below that there was ASM something or ASM. What was that?
We discussed, right? When we are assigning this to specific role, we have additional copies. Those I just mentioned, ignore it. Those you see in the only test.
No, not that one. So like other three roles are like the copy roles that we don't have to take, right?
Correct.
But like application implementation consultant, like below that, you said like always choose.
We discussed as a code.
Code, okay, code. Okay.
That we call as code. It's given like as a code kind of.
Role code, something like
role
that?
code, yes.
Oh,
Role name
okay.
and role code.
Okay. Yeah, got it.
Yep. Any other questions? Okay. So no questions. We can stop here for today. Okay. In the tomorrow session, we'll focus on the setup part. Okay. We are not going to do the setups immediately, but we have to understand certain points. Creating the implementation project. When you do the setups, what are the points need to be considered? If you want to create implementation project, how to create? There are a few other points we'll discuss. Once we are clear on that, we'll proceed with the next step. Okay. So in tomorrow's session, primarily we are going to focus on this setup related part, what extent we have to understand when we are going to work on configuration with the help of application implementation consultant. And also we'll discuss about the relevant terminologies. We have certain terminologies. We'll talk about those. So tomorrow also we'll be working from today. We started working on the instance. We'll keep working on the instance. Sometimes in between, we may stop working on the instance. We may have 1 or 2 sessions, 1 session or 2 sessions only for theoretical understanding. Okay. So 99% will be working on the instance. Maybe 1 or 2 sessions in between, wherever required accordingly, we will stop. Or I can say 95% will be working on instance, 5% completely theoretical understanding. We stop instance and we will have a sessions only to understand certain concepts. So that's how we are going to run through. So if any questions, please go ahead. Otherwise, we are done for today. You may stay back to learn from others' questions. Or if you have some priority task, you may quit from the meeting. Thank you all. See you.
Lakshman, in case sometimes the instance is down, probably can we use that time for a Q&A, like some rapid round question or something? So it will also help us to kind of have a revision of things. I mean, if just ask if it is possible.
Yeah, we'll do that. Whatever possible, we'll do it.
Okay.
Yeah. Any questions?
Lakshman,
Yeah.
if the for program 2, if the person is stays near to Hyderabad, like 1.5 hour journey, is that going to work?
Yeah, that works. But the best practice, if they stay very close to this, even 1.5 hour, 1.5 hour, 3 hours, in a month, 100 hours, in 6 months, 600 hours, they can save. That's a math.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
600 hours means see how much. And again, the person can be in the right environment. He can just, can be in the PC along with our guys who are on the floor, who are in his team, right? So.
But anyhow, person is coming to the institute.
That adds more value if it works for them. Again, condition up is applicable, right? That's how it is. Yeah. Any other questions, please?
Please, when are you sharing the video for yesterday and today, and then the Google Drive you mentioned about?
I shared access, whatever the details I got from the team, I shared across. If you find you didn't receive that drive access, please talk to the team. They'll just pass that information to me. Accordingly, I'll give the access. Yeah. Check with them.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks. And you can expect today's session video in the drive within 30 minutes. Okay. You check after 30 minutes, you will find this updated spreadsheet, what we use for class, as well as today's session video you can find in the drive itself. After 30 minutes, you can check. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks, Lakshman. I need to drop. I need to go to office. So
yeah, great. Yeah, please. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you all. See you tomorrow. Thanks.
Thank you.